Pimp my chassis.
What's up, Internet? It's me, XoXo, and today I'm here to review Lemnis Gate. Let's get started. Lemnis Gate is a turn-based first-person shooter where you get to live, die, and repeat your way through 1v1 or 2v2 competitive multiplayer. Yes, you heard me right. It's a turn-based first-person shooter. And for good reason. You're wondering what the hell that means. Well, come with me on this journey, and hopefully soon, you'll understand. In Lemnis Gate, you play a small selection of game modes where you're tasked with controlling a hardpoint by damaging nodes, destroying these bad boys, or collecting materials and taking it back to your portal for points. Or just straight up murder! Wonderful! You do all this in first person while fighting off other players. And, for the most part, it plays like your typical shooter. You slide around with a character of your choosing, shooting their special gun, using their special ability. But where this game differs, and rather dramatically I might add, is that you play the game in 25-second time loops. Alright, stay with me. You're doing great, buddy. You start your match as a drone, hovering above the battlefield. The person whose turn it happens to be can spawn a character into the match, and then has 25 seconds to perform actions on the battlefield. Be it using a character's abilities, like setting up turrets with Vendetta, or creating a caustic puddle of acid with toxin that will damage friends and enemies alike. Or by starting with the objectives, or a combination of the two. All the while, the opposing player is able to use their drone to hover above the battlefield and watch them make their moves. And this is where it starts to get interesting. When the 25 seconds is up, the player who's been observing now gets their turn. They're given a minute or so to watch the first combatant's actions on a loop and formulate a strategy. And then they get their own 25 seconds to counter the first player's actions. And when the second player tees up their character and starts their turn on the ground, the first player's actions play on repeat, mimicking action for action what the first player did. So, this gives the second player an opportunity to change the events as they occur again. Didn't like your opponent's Vendetta turrets? Maybe spawn in Striker, the sniper character, and kill her before she can even place any of them. Then, maybe on their turn, they'll spawn a Striker to counter your Striker. And the match plays on like this over the course of 5 rounds, with each turn's actions repeating over and over again, allowing players to exchange calculated chess-like blows to their opponent's strategy, until, after a final chaotic round with 5 different characters on each side performing their pre-recorded actions, one player emerges victorious. Now you're with me, I think. The gameplay itself feels surprisingly smooth. I don't know what I was expecting, but sliding around using abilities, jumping, shooting, etc. felt really fluid and responsive on my Xbox One X. I also never felt cheated out of any shots, or that anyone else was LOL hacking, like when I play other, more popular shooters. Call of Duty. Cooldowns for character abilities are pretty short, which makes sense given that you only have 25 seconds to execute all actions with any given character. The guns, of which each character has one that's locked to them, follow archetypes you're familiar with. Rocket launcher, assault rifle, shotgun, laser. They're all present here. Each looks and sounds unique and is impressive to fire. Generally speaking, the gameplay loop is quite addictive. Each round, you notice a flaw in your strategy, or something maybe worked better than you expected. Every match plays differently, even if you're playing the same opponent on the same level, because in order to succeed, you're having to constantly shift your strategy and adapt on the fly to counter your opponent. I'm also not sure what engine they used, but the textures and lighting look great. From the reflections on various electronic components to explosions and fog, I was generally impressed by how the game looked and performed. On my One X, which released back in 2017, I was running at mostly 60 frames per second, with occasional hitches and slowdown. The sound design is also what you'd expect. Things explode, lasers hum, and it was balanced enough that I didn't have to lower the sound effects volume to not have my eardrums burst. I'm Call of Duty! And that's not a bad thing. I mean, it works. And whether you're in the game variant I described, or another that allows asynchronous turns, as in, the round starts when each player has chosen their combatant and they both simultaneously have 25 seconds to execute their strategy. This game is unique, and if I'm being honest, I didn't think I would enjoy it. And part of that is because, well, how do you adequately market or describe this experience to someone without sitting them down and making them watch a video? Thanks for being here, by the way. I saw buzzwords like 4D gameplay and the aforementioned turn-based FPS. And yeah, I was curious, but enough to spend $20? I don't think I would have made the purchase. Thankfully, I've got Xbox Game Pass, and not to proselytize Game Pass, but that's an obvious perk that helped in both mine and this developer's favor. I saw it, wouldn't have originally spent the money, and decided to give it a shot. Anyway, I'm glad I did. When I was finally able to queue up against a real person, after observing their first turn, it immediately became clear to me what makes this game special. I keep likening it to chess, but when I saw them place their turrets in midair, jumping around methodically and utilizing every second of their 25 seconds, the game instantly changed for me. In observing them, I learned so much and was immediately excited to absorb, adapt, and try to counter their strategy, and maybe even employ it in the future. After 2 hours of just one more match on my first play session, I started to see the potential of this abstract Christopher Nolan mind-f***ing game. It was exciting and tense to play my first turn, either countering my opponent if they went first or setting traps for their future turns. And that tension turns to exhilaration as multiple instances have gone by, and the match is littered with you and your opponent's characters moving around autonomously as you navigate this time field of a match, trying to execute a perfect endgame action that could make or break the entire match, be it by preventing your enemy from destroying that node and claiming victory, or by getting the most kills on the final match to inch over the finish line. It's a game where, should the population become large enough to sustain, you're going to see strategies develop and evolve, and probably many tweaks by the developer to help suss out exploits. If you're looking for a shooter, this game can scratch that itch, but in small bursts. This isn't the frenetic, constant action you're used to, but one that simmers until it boils at the end of a heated match. Your shooter skills will definitely come in handy, but in order to win, you're going to have to rely on that beautiful big brain of yours to execute an ever-evolving plan. I didn't get a chance to play 2v2 due to low server pop, but I assume that changes the dynamic entirely. There are other things I didn't mention, like character upgrades,
I love it,
the crucial tutorials, or offline play. But the bottom line is, if you're looking for something new, something that requires thought and strategy on a larger scale than just running and gunning, I highly suggest checking this out, especially if you have Game Pass. Thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to Bill Button, who I ended up playing several ranked matches against. He was a great sport, and I appreciate him. Thanks, Bill. Whether you're subscribed or not, you are amazing as always. I'll see you next time. Later.